This was like national interest, and nobody had any curiosity about, who did this to Danny.
Donna Adelson's oldest son took the stand, giving testimony against his mother, who is accused of planning a deadly scheme. His words added sharp tension to the trial and showed how divided the family has become soon after. Her daughter Wendy Adelson returned to testify once again. The jury watched closely, as her statements added new layers to an already complicated case.
I was not involved in any plot to kill Dan.
Here's a look at the key moments from the testimony of Donna Adelson's children. Their words have added tension to the trial and revealed how divided the family has become. Welcome to Crime World. The trial of Donna Adelson, accused in the murder plot of Florida State law professor Dan Markle, has largely centered on her daughter, Wendy Adelson. Wendy was Markle's ex-wife, and prosecutors say the family wanted him gone because of a bitter custody battle over their two young sons. Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, is already serving a life sentence for his role, though he is appealing and may testify. His former girlfriend, Catherine McBanua, was also convicted for connecting Charlie to two men who carried out the shooting, Sigfredo Garcia and his close friend Luis Rivera. Both were tied to the hit, and McBanua is now a state witness, while Wendy and her father Harvey are named as unindicted co-conspirators. It is Donna Adelson now facing trial. She has pleaded not guilty, insisting she had no role in the crime. Earlier, jurors heard testimony from Luis Rivera, who described his part in the killing of Dan Markle.
And what was the purpose of this murder as you understood it?
That they wanted the kids.
Who wanted the kids?
Wendy.
Okay. And did you understand that you were killing the father of the kids so that Wendy could have the kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you previously referred to a dentist being involved?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the dentist?
Charlie.
And how was he related?
Katie's boyfriend, IPs, whatever you want to call him.
All right, so Katie was the wife of Garcia, but also the girlfriend of the dentist?
Yeah.
Did you have any contact with the dentist ever?
No.
Did you have any contact with any member of the Adelson family?
No, ma'am.
Everything went through Katie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What did the dentist, if you know, have to do with the lady in Tallahassee who needed her kids?
I don't know nothing about him.
Luis Rivera told the jury that the motive behind the murder was Wendy's fight to keep her children. Defense attorneys for Donna Adelson, however, pushed back. They tried to use Rivera's account to raise doubt about Donna's direct role in planning the crime.
You're the one who got the gun that was used to kill Danny Markell, and you drove the car that day. You didn't shoot him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I said, if you would, please put the number 4 next to the man who was killed, and you did that with Danny Markell, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said, if you would, put the number 5 next to the lady that wanted the man killed. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And was that with Wendy Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And then I asked you if the 2 people on the top of the page who have their pictures there and the names Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I asked you to put X's next to the people who on that page were not involved in this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
The focus of testimony then shifted to a series of emails Donna Adelson had written to her daughter Wendy, messages that shed light on her feelings and frustrations about Dan Markle.
We don't want Danny to continue his religious influence over these children any more than what he's already done. If he keeps this up, they won't want to eat in your non-kosher home. As they get older and more involved under Gibber's religious influence, they will be able to request which parent they want to live with. Don't allow Gibbers to have this power and control over them. Then in reality, he's going to have the same control over you. Dad and I referred for the person. It's time for you to show us that you can put on the performance of your life for the next few weeks. We send this letter with our love and only the best intentions, Mom and Dad.
Prosecutors argued Donna Adelson helped plan the murder after Dan Markle tried to limit her time with his sons. They said the boys had repeated things like, "Grandma says you're stupid," which fueled the tension. Wendy Adelson then took the stand under an immunity deal. As she faced her mother, Donna looked emotional, but the judge quickly warned her to stay composed. Wendy admitted her divorce from Dan was bitter and filled with conflict.
At the time of Dan Markel's murder, was the defendant, your mother, very angry at Dan Markel?
Before he died?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And you hated him too, right?
At certain points, I was very frustrated with him.
Did you refer to him as an STD?
I don't remember saying that.
Tab 5.
It looks like I made that analogy.
Danny is an STD. One wrong mistake, marrying him, and this will never go away. Is that what you said?
I did.
And did you share that kind of sentiment with your mother?
I don't remember ever saying that, so I don't think it's something I said very often.
And this was said in an email on February 26th of 2013, correct?
It was.
Approximately 17 months before the murder?
Yes, I don't think it was an email, though. It looks like it was sort of an iMessage.
Okay. Did you ever refer to your ex-husband as the Dark Lord?
I don't remember saying that, but I certainly might have.
Wendy Adelson firmly denied having any part in the plot to kill Dan Markel.
Were you in any way involved in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
No.
Did you maybe know it was going to happen but not know the details?
I did not know it was going to happen, and I did not know any details.
Did you provide any information, even unknowingly in hindsight, that you think could have been used to assist the murderers?
I don't think so. I didn't provide any information.
What information do you have regarding your mother's involvement in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
I don't have information.
But you do admit that your brother said he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel.
I don't. I admit that my brother made a tasteless joke repeatedly about buying me a TV because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
But then someone did hire a hitman who did kill Dan Markel, right?
Yes, that happened.
Was part of the plot to kill your ex for you to have plausible deniability or to know very little about it?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Were you shielded from the plot because, I don't know, you couldn't be trusted to keep a secret?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
During cross-examination, Donna Adelson's attorney pressed the point once more, aiming to show she had no part in the murder plot.
When was the last time you spoke to your mother, Donna Adelson, as we sit here today?
November of 2023.
Okay. And so she hasn't given you any information or advice about how to testify in court, has
No,
she?
ma'am. No.
What about, you did offer testimony in November of 2023 as well, right, on a related case?
Yes,
Okay,
October.
And did your mom, when you spoke to her in November of 2023, offer you any advice or thoughts about how you should act or behave or what you should say in court?
Yes,
She did.
she did.
And what was that?
I can't tell you I remember exactly, but she was hoping I would be supportive of my brother.
Okay. And do you know what her thoughts were afterwards?
I do.
Okay. And what were they?
She was devastated.
She didn't feel you were supportive.
No.
When Wendy finished her testimony, she hugged her father, Harvey Adelson, before leaving the courtroom. Then Donna's oldest son, Rob Adelson, took the stand for the first time, offering new details about the family dynamic and life after Dan Markel's murder.
And the communications that you had with Danny during the separation leading up to the divorce and some thereafter were pretty critical of you, weren't they?
The communication on paper, which
Right.
was very different than the communication in person.
Right, but the paperwork was critical.
Yes.
And you shared that with your mother.
Yes.
And some of the things that he said to you in writing, whether they were communications or in the pleadings, upset you.
Yes.
Some of it was very upsetting to you.
Yes.
And you shared it with your mother, and then she became upset.
Yes.
And she said bad words.
Yes.
She called him a lot of bad names.
Yes.
She said ugly things about him.
Yes.
But not one single time did she ever suggest in writing or to you personally that Danny deserved to be harmed, did she?
Never.
Never said he needed to be killed.
Never.
Rob Adelson said his mother was controlling in her children's lives, most of all with Wendy during her troubled marriage. He also described the close relationship Donna shared with Charlie.
Based on your personal observations throughout your life of your parents and of your siblings, who is the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom.
Okay, so Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Would you describe Donna Adelson's personality as being more controlling or more laid back?
I think more on the controlling side.
What about, is she kind of a more assertive person or a more passive person?
More assertive.
What about your dad, Harvey Adelson? What's his personality like?
I think he's more passive, more go with the flow.
Okay. So they're kind of opposites in that way a bit?
Yeah.
When you and your siblings were growing up, was Donna Adelson a very involved parent?
Yes.
And when I say involved, as far as with your life and with your friends and with school and with that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Did she have certain fixed ideas throughout your life of certain things she wanted to happen in you and your siblings' life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it acceptable if you decided to not do those certain things that she was fixated she wanted you to do? Was that acceptable to her or no?
No. I think she had certain sort of rigid, fixed ideas or impressions for what she wanted for us, and if you went along with that, things were fine. If you didn't, things were not fine.
Rob Adelson recalled meeting with FBI agents about Dan Markel's murder, but said his mother warned him not to cooperate. He added that any attempt to discuss the case inside the family was quickly shut down.
Were Charlie and Donna Adelson dependent on each other or pretty independent from each other?
I would say Charlie was probably somewhat dependent on my mom to help him out with organizing stuff, his dental practice. I think he probably relied on her a lot.
Okay. And you mentioned the dental practice. When you were growing up, who owned the dental practice?
My dad.
Okay. And throughout your life, was Donna Adelson in charge of the money at Adelson Institute?
I wouldn't know the inside workings of it, but I always remember my mom signing the checks and writing the checkbook at the table, when I was back in middle school or high school. So.
Rob Adelson testified that he first learned about the arrests of Luis Rivera and Sigfrido Garcia from his mother, who told him they were charged in Dan Markel's murder.
All right, so how did you first hear about Dan Markel's murder?
I heard the day after the shooting occurred, so that would be Saturday, July 19. I was at a meeting in Chicago, and I think I got a phone call first, and that I was in a meeting, and so I just said, can I call you later? And then I got a text message shortly thereafter, right before 10 in the morning, that said, tragedy here, please call.
And are these from Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Okay. So were you able to call her that morning from the conference in Chicago?
Yeah, so I walked out and went to the hotel lobby and just hit call.
Okay, and tell us about that conversation with her.
So it's one of those moments that you'll just remember forever. So I remember being in the lobby of the Westin, and I assumed something terrible had happened, and but I wasn't ready for it. She said, so we just want to let you know that Danny's been shot, and they took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. And it didn't make any sense. And I probably asked a few medical questions, and they said they're driving up to go help Wendy, and we'll talk to you later. We can't talk now.
Okay. Was she crying in that conversation?
Not in that conversation.
Sir?
No, she was not.
Okay.
It was very matter of fact.
During cross-examination, Donna Adelson's lawyer noted that Rob had not visited his parents in years, and attorney Jackie Ford pressed that point to the jury.
Did she ever give you any further detail that weekend about how he'd been shot, or other than just Danny was shot and he didn't make it?
I think it was the next day. So the only really other time that I spoke with him that weekend, I was in the airport going home, like Sunday afternoon. So it was definitely the next day, and it was the first time I could actually have any kind of conversation. And one of the things that she told me is, it bothered me, but I didn't have any other details about. But she said that, someone went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and then shot him. And then I said, "Well, how could you know that? Who's telling you that?" And she said, "Well, that's just what they're telling us." And
Okay.
it just,
So she said someone told her that someone knocked on Danny's door, said, "Are you Dan Markel?" He said yes, and the shooter shot him.
that's the story I heard. And later we found out that wasn't what happened. But that story bothered me a lot, because there's only one way you could hear that story.
That concluded the testimony of Rob Adelson. The trial will continue into September, with Donna Adelson expected to take the stand. Thanks for watching this episode of Crime Fix, and I'll see you next time.
Ever ask her, like after the murder, like, "Hey, like, what do you think happened? What do you?"
Yeah, and the conversations were kind of rerouted, or that was certainly discouraged. And it was probably like maybe sometime like mid-August, when I finally had a chance to ask and say, what is going on? This was not a small event. This was getting a lot of notoriety. And I said, what do you guys think happened? And she had said, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't concern me.
Was that out of character for her to not be curious and not be asking some questions?
Yeah, I mean, it was an unsolved murder of, my former brother-in-law, like someone that we all know very well. I mean, if it was like some neighborhood gossip, people would be interested. This was like national interest, and nobody had any curiosity about, who did this to Danny.
When she called you, was she telling you the good news that Danny's killers were arrested?
No, he just called us for anniversary, and wished us well, and had some small talk for a bit. I kind of let it go for a little bit. And I mean, this was not small news, and so I finally broached the topic and said, they found the guy, they arrested someone who killed Danny. There's no response, and I said it, at least 2 or 3 times that they made an arrest. They got the guy who killed Danny. Yeah, and then her response was, I've got to go.
And then did she hang up the phone after that?
Yes.
And did you ever talk to her about it again, ever after that?
No.
You had mentioned in your direct testimony that your mom called and said you shouldn't talk to the police. You recall that?
Yeah, I do, yes.
What actually happened was a family friend, Michael Weinstein, you know him, correct?
I do, yeah.
Your mom indicated that he had called and advised that as a family friend and an attorney that you all should not talk to the police. That's what she told you, isn't it?
Yeah.